Welcome to a new episode of Review Rundown. We've got some big releases this week, so let's dive right in. Let's start with The Jewel Thief, The Heist Begins, that's now streaming on Netflix. You'd think a film featuring Saif Ali Khan and Jaideep Ahlawat in a high-stakes heist thriller would be a no-brainer win, especially when it's literally named after one of Bollywood's most iconic caper films. But instead, what we get is a painfully lazy, uninspired remix of every heist movie trope that you can think of. Saif plays Rehan Roy, a smooth-talking jewel thief with a smirk for every situation and a wardrobe full of sharp suits. He struts around Budapest, dropping cheesy one-liners and stealing diamonds like he's still stuck in a 2005 rom-com. Opposite him, Jaideep Ahlawat plays Rajan Aulak, a violent, flamboyant mobster who looks like he walked off the set of Narcos but speaks like a cartoon villain. The plot? Predictable. The twists? You see them coming before the scene even starts. Every beat feels recycled, from the estranged father-son angle featuring Kulbhushan Kharbanda to the emotionally sidelined woman stuck between two men to the thankless role of the earnest younger brother. Even the dramatic cop versus thief angle with Kunal Kapoor playing a hard-nosed detective feels like it's on autopilot. And while the film tries to dazzle with its sleek visuals, poolside slow-mos and designer outfits, there's just no energy beneath the surface. It's all style and no substance. You feel especially bad for Ahlawat, togged out in gold highlights and pastel suits trying to summon menace with every line but ending up with zero impact. At the end of the day, Jewel Thief is a missed opportunity. It wants to be clever, cool and thrilling, but it lands as flat, dated and frankly a little bit dull. Watch it only if you're really curious or really bored. Let's turn now to Phule, a film that takes us back to 19th century Maharashtra, a time when young girls were married off before they even understood the world and caste dictated every breath of public life. At the heart of this period drama is the remarkable story of Jyotiba Phule and his wife Savitribai, portrayed by earnest depth by Prateek Gandhi and Patralekha. We see a young Savitri slowly learning to read, guided by her much older husband. That moment of awakening sets the tone for what follows. The story of a couple determined to fight for education, equality and dignity, especially for women and the oppressed. What stands out immediately is how the film does not shy away from showcasing the ugly truths of the time. We're shown how casteism was systematically enforced, segregated wells, untouchables, forced to wear brooms, and people attacked simply for standing up. In one particularly stark moment, we see Jyotiba and Fatima Sheikh, played by Akshaya Gurav, pelted with dung for daring to educate the so-called lower castes. Prateek Gandhi brings quiet conviction to Jyotiba, while Patralekha gets more of the fiery speeches, and she delivers them with strength and clarity. Supporting performances by Vinay Pathak and Sushil Pandey as Jyotiba's father and brother reinforce the resistance that the couple faced within their own home. Darshil Safari, yes, the same kid from Tare Zameen Par appears here as their adopted son, adding a touch of warmth to the otherwise very heavy narrative. But while the subject matter is powerful, the film itself stumbles under its own weight. At over 2 hours, it tries to cover far too much, from the Phule social battles to the 1857 uprising, global revolutions and even Abraham Lincoln. That ambitious scope makes parts of it feel very rushed, like it's skimming through the headlines rather than focusing on a story. Visually and tonally, it plays safe. There's a certain polish that softens the brutality of the era, which might be a conscious choice, but it does take away some of the raw impact of the film. Still, the importance of the film cannot be overstated. The Phules were revolutionaries in every sense, not only fighting for female education, but for the right of the oppressed to define their own identity. And while caste discrimination still sadly exists today, Phule might spark new conversations around a subject that we often like to sweep under the rug. Watch it not for the filmmaking flair, but for the story and the legacy that it brings back into the spotlight. Next we have Ground Zero, a Kashmir-set drama starring Imran Hashmi that comes with timing as tense as its subject matter. The film drops just days after the tragic Pahalgam attack, and whether intentional or not, it hits a certain chord, not by amping up patriotism to a fever pitch, but by choosing a more grounded path. Hashmi plays BSF officer Narendranath Dhar Dubey, a man on the trail of notorious terrorist Ghazi Baba, set against the backdrop of Kashmir in the early 2000s. It's a time of political turbulence with echoes of the 2001 Parliament attack and Prime Minister Vajpayee's visit to the valley. You can feel the weight of history sitting quietly in the margins. Now, if you've seen any military thriller in the last few years, you'll know the beats: intel gathering, local unrest, bureaucratic resistance, a last-minute breakthrough. Ground Zero follows the template but avoids the loud, one-note nationalism that many of these other films fall into. Instead, it explores the uneasy truth that not everyone in the valley is an enemy. Some are just victims, some are caught in between, and all are dealing with fear. Hashmi does a solid job here. He dials down the theatrics, opting instead for subtle tension and grounded delivery. His Dubey is neither a chest-thumping hero nor a reluctant soldier. He's just a man trying to do his job, and that makes the performance more believable. But not everything works. The film slows down when a team of Delhi-based intelligence officers arrive, and that section really drags. Zoya Hussain and Rahul Vora as agents from the capital get stuck in slightly overcooked roles. They're either doubting Dubey or delivering clunky exposition. Mukesh Tiwari as Dubey's superior falls into the same trap. Big reactions, very little depth. Where Ground Zero earns its stripes in its tone, it shows the everyday risks that soldiers face. A stroll through a market could be your last, while also hinting at the grey zones that locals are forced to navigate. One of the film's strongest moments is a question Dubey asks: "This land is ours, but are the people here ours too?" It's answered not with a slogan but with a quiet, wounded yes. Sai Tamhankar adds some emotional heft as Dubey's wife. She's not just the supportive spouse, she gets her own arc, showing how the conflict bleeds into the personal and how families are pulled into the line of fire without ever stepping outside their homes. So, does Ground Zero reinvent the wheel? No. But does it tread more carefully than most, offering a take on the Kashmir conflict that's less about the noise and more about the nuance? Yes. It's flawless, the pace dips, and the script could have been tighter, but in a genre that often chooses volume over voice, Ground Zero finds a middle ground. And sometimes that's exactly where the story needs to be. This is it for today. Until the next episode, stay tuned.